here we go. Hello, Key Biscayne. It is Monday, September 3rd, 2018. This is your No One's Listening show, episode 121. I'm your host, Rafa. I'm here with the panel. To my left is Billy.
Hi, everybody.
To his left is Julie.
Hello.
To her left is Manny.
Rafa, I feel like I'm actually at a village council meeting right now.
Because of the people here?
We have the sort of the bizarro village council here.
But just to paint a word picture for the audience, we're also sitting in, it looks like garden furniture that you harvested on bulk trash pickup day.
Wow.
This is going to be my permanent furniture outside, so I kind of resent that. But yes, we are in this apartment where we can't even get out onto the balcony because it's closed off by the contractors. The place is in a sorry state, but it won't be soon. Maybe in 3 months when they finish.
I came through with the two AA batteries to fire up the thermostat because it was about 87 degrees when I first arrived inside.
And what are they doing with the facade of your building? Are they putting on kind of a Beaux-Arts plaster exterior? Are they doing one of those green things where it's all plants?
No.
They've been working on it for about 7 months.
It was only
going to be spectacular.
It was only maintenance. So all we're getting is a new mosquito. What's it called?
The screen.
The screens. Yeah. New screens and new. They're right here. I mean, you can see them right there. The new railings and all that stuff. It actually looks pretty good when it's installed.
It looks really nice.
There.
I can't wait to be back out there.
Yeah, and it'll be nice to be out there. Anyway, let's start how we always start. I want to say, it's Labor Day today. We commemorate the contributions of the labor movement by making the lowest level workers in society go to work today, while those of us who are a little more privileged have the day off.
Well, I should ask. I'm a member of 2 unions. Anybody else?
No,
I'm not.
You know, there's always talk of software developers union and stuff like that, but it never gets off the ground. They're very libertarian too. There's a very strong libertarian bent in the community, and so it's just not going to get off the ground until. Even though, because right now salaries are really high, and so once salaries go down, I could see somebody organizing something like that. But right now, everybody feels like
I'm
it's just
a
not
proud member of the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild, and I just want to take this occasion to say to management and the owners of capital and the exploiters, don't screw with us. All right,
you guys have one of the strongest unions in the country with both of those, whereas. I feel like unions everywhere else are in a shoddy state.
Union membership is down, of course, dramatically across the country, and that's a trend that the Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild are attempting to fight without too much success, perhaps.
All right, well, let's start how we always start. It's called Weekend Talk. What did you guys do this weekend?
Yeah, well, this weekend, last night, I was at a party for Pablo Sanchi's birthday party, backyard, nice Getty, and actually that's where I recruited Billy and Julie to come on the show.
So, you didn't recruit me until about 45 minutes ago.
Well, you didn't know I was recruiting you at the time, but I was. You were my go-to.
We were there. Sure. Happy birthday, Pablo, a key rat from
Key Biscayne.
From birth, yeah.
So I was... it'd been a long weekend, so by halftime the Canes were getting blown out. I had eaten, I was there. Nancy had split. She had the kids. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna French out of here. That's what we call it when we just leave without telling anybody. And I leave, and I get outside, and someone's blocking my car. It's a black Lexus blocking my golf cart, and I'm like, how am I going to find whose car this is? I was trying to leave without telling anybody. Now I have to go and announce to everybody, excuse me, do you have a black Lexus? What? Where are you going, Manny? Yeah, I'm leaving. So I found the person with a black Lexus, and she said that, we know who she is. She's a friend.
I drove with her.
You drove with her.
We blocked your car.
Yeah, you guys, they blocked my cart, and they were like, you didn't know it was my golf cart? So then I had to go in and say goodbye and thank you to Pablo and Anna. So thank you very much, Pablo and Anna. Had a good time.
You say his name was Sanchiz?
With an S at the end.
Sanchis, as in Sanchez.
I actually heard, I didn't witness it, but I heard a little gossip about an incident this weekend.
Oh,
Do tell.
Friday
Billy.
night at the Yacht Club.
oh, I was there. Keep going.
Rafa
This is
winning the last karaoke in the old clubhouse with a performance of what was it?
I'm not sure which one it was, but I guess it was a Marvin Gaye song.
All right. Well, there was a lot of talk about Rafa's upper register around the key this weekend.
I heard that
I was
too,
really
actually.
sorry, really sorry to miss that. I flew in on Saturday. Lobster Mania, last one again, the old clubhouse. Brunch on Sunday, and today was a board game day, thanks to Tropical Storm Gordon.
So wait, are you saying when does the clubhouse go down?
I'm
Like
told.
at
Well, I mean, the
7 a.m. tomorrow. I think.
the bar was being disassembled rather actively. Both nights.
I was there
I
that
was
night.
there. In the day in the morning, I was there, and I think they're having the garage sale and selling off the fittings that they're not keeping sometime this week. I think the actual
Wow.
demolition may not begin to the middle of the month, but the clubhouse is going to be
Closed.
pretty much empty. Yeah.
Oh wow! See, I didn't know that. I should have told my buddies that when I was trying to get them out there. But yeah, that's what I did. I went to karaoke on Friday night.
Who'd you go with?
I went over there with Nick Hidalgo, and then I met up with Andy. The Hoyos were there. Lenny, Tom. Lenny was running the show and everything.
Do you have a couple karaoke numbers that you usually do?
I have a whole list that I just go through, and I'm like, do I want to do this or not? And I constantly add things to the list, but then I look at them and I'm like, I can't sing that. Yeah.
So what was the winning song?
There was no winning. There wasn't a competition.
Oh, I think there was plenty of winning. From what I've heard, there was significant winning going on.
That's funny. Well, I'm flattered. The whole song is falsetto, so it's really fun to sing because I get to do a really high voice the whole time, and it doesn't sound like me. It's Got to Give It Up by Marvin Gaye. I'm pretty sure that's the one you guys are talking about.
How about you, Julie?
I hung out a lot at the Sandbar in Key Colony. We did not make our way to the beach because it was closed, or we weren't supposed to swim in the water this weekend. But with our newish structure there now,
Yeah, the
it's a
Sandbar,
nice place to
formerly
hang
known
out.
as Las Olas. I have not been, actually.
You have to come by.
Yeah.
It's fun every weekend.
Do they have the TVs there as well for football?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I bet. That's a great spot.
we had some friends in town, so good fun Key Biscayne weekend.
Very
Cool.
cool. I did some other things. Let me just say them because I wrote them all down here. On Saturday, so we went really hard after the karaoke. We went to this person's house who I won't name, and we partied there for a little while here on the island. Then on Saturday, I
Where'd
pretty
you go?
much
Whose house?
Vegged all day.
Whose house did you go to?
It was a mansion. No, I don't know if it was everything's a mansion on this island to me. Anyway, then the next day, go to a place called Concrete Space in Doral. Went out there with Anna and some other people to see an exhibition by a chick named Liene Bosque, and that was pretty good. Then went to Rinconcito Mexicano for dinner. That was really good. I forgot how good that place is. Do you guys go there
No,
with
I've
any
never heard of it.
regularity? If you need Mexican food, it's on 8th Street.
I love it. The one on 7th or something?
It's a little further down, but yeah. And you get out of there with a really good meal for $15, and yeah, I can't believe I always forget that place exists because it's just.
I mean, when I first started coming down here, I had a full gringo moment when I figured, well, it's Miami, the tacos will be good here.
No.
And then someone apologized for the poor quality of the tacos compared to what I would have gotten in Los Angeles. So I've since become educated, but in the meantime, the tacos in Miami have become pretty good. There are a couple really good places now, but
Now Billy's in L.A. asking for a medianoche.
I bet you can find. Actually, I think there is a place. I've looked it up. I forgot what it's called. It's some deli or something that makes a good Cuban sandwich over there.
I'm
But-
sure there's plenty of them. But the Mexican food is like fast food. I mean, that's line food.
Yeah.
It's quality. It's like Cuban food here.
So
It's a good taco place on the Key.
We had one for a little
like a
bit.
minute.
You know where the good tacos is Farmers Market.
That's true.
But it's
On
one
Saturdays.
day a week. And there are a couple taco men who come to the house. Which I think we've used one for a party, and that was excellent also.
The food truck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
Really?
Yep. My friends had that one time.
And then last night I went to Scott Sharp's house, Scott and Kara's house. They had a little party, and that was pretty good too. So thanks to them because I had a great
Cool.
time.
What, they gave you a shout after the karaoke at the yacht club? Getting recruited there.
Yeah, I'm everywhere now. So that was fun. Okay.
By the way, we should announce that we're not on Facebook Live tonight. And so
not?
anyone who's trying to find us on Facebook right now is not on Facebook either because Facebook has crashed.
We've been shadow banned from Facebook. The deep
For our
state has
views.
decided they've had enough
Billy, the only thing I did
of
differently
your
today...
insurgent commentary.
The only thing I did differently today was actually post that you were going to be on the show.
You know what?
And that
That's
you weren't
right.
going to be telling any, secrets.
It's the man coming down on me for my union membership.
Definitely.
This is the kind of stuff they've been pulling for 200 years.
All right, so next up, as we always do, we do a little, what are you listening to? Where we talk about what you're listening to. You know, I keep thinking to myself, I'm listening to myself talk on this thing, and I'm so... Why am I so mellow? I don't even know, but I don't have anything to say. Okay, what are you guys listening to?
I've been listening to Aretha Franklin.
Oh, all right.
Oh, nice.
Who's she?
It's my Detroit roots I'm reconnecting with now. It's been nice to reminisce with some good Aretha songs.
You have a song? You have one in mind that you'd like to mention?
Well, I guess Respect is a good one. Natural Woman.
So did you see, and this
ones.
circulated very widely on social media and probably is on the morning show, so I apologize in advance if it's lame to bring up, but when the 5 different guards regiments that perform ceremonial duties at Buckingham Palace all have bands. Some of them are really good. Mm-hmm. And so the other day, and when I went over with my kids, I went to see the Changing the Guard and hear the Coldstream Guards, which is supposedly the best of the bands, playing. And they played, the kind of things you might think, sort of traditional marching songs. And all of a sudden, they play Take On Me by Aha, I think it is. And it was just outstanding. I mean, it's the most amazing arrangement. And the next thing they play is the Mission Impossible theme. And they're just standing there as if they're playing God Save the Queen, and there's full military uniforms and so forth, and screaming forward thing. And so apparently they played Respect.
They did. I
Yeah,
heard it.
yeah,
It was
a
good.
couple of days ago. And they also did this amazing thing, which always sort of brings a little tear to my eye, which is right after 9/11, the next morning, they played the Star Spangled Banner as the first song, sort of straight up, instead of God Save the Queen. So I'm sure, well, first of all, when you go, don't not go to the Changing of the Guard if you go in London. It's definitely extremely high quality, expensive entertainment. They're presented to you for absolute free. And, also on YouTube, I bet there's videos of them playing all kinds of pop songs that you would never imagine.
Very fun. So is that your pick?
No, I was going to, okay, so what do I listen to? This is for the seniors out there who I represent in this community. In this rat radio community, and I listen to books on tape, which are not on tape and not on
that's
CDs.
A cool name for a band.
Yeah, so exactly. and when I drive, I listen to. I get them on Audible. If you belong to Amazon Prime, and you're sort of nuts if you don't, you get a free Audible book every month, and you can listen to it in the car. And it's a great way to keep track of certain kinds of things in popular culture that you're never going to read in your normal life, but that other people are talking about, and they're easy to listen to from the car. And there are a couple readers you get attached to as if they're bands or singers you love. Simon Vance, in particular, I'd listen to Simon Vance reading the phone book. Frankly, that's not available currently, but so. I sometimes find that I have those driveway moments where it's so good and I'm in such a good part of it that I'll pull up in the driveway in the car and I'll spend an extra sort of 5 minutes sitting around fiddling around just so I can hear the end of what they're reading. So that's what I'm actually listening to in the car right now. I'm sorry to say. I'm
changing in the guard.
It doesn't.
Buckingham Palace.
It doesn't matter.
It's arcane, and it's these books by Olivia Manning about the British people in the Balkans in the Second World War, called the Balkan Trilogy. Highly recommended, but not the point. The point is you can listen to anything on Audible in the car, and it kind of makes driving a little bit that much more like you're feeling like you're efficiently using your spare time.
I'm good. I'm good with. I can't follow that.
Oh, come on!
I was listening to
I've heard Manny say for 43 weeks running he's listening to Grateful Dead. So let's not break the streak.
Well, I mean, I broke the streak today. My friend woke up and he's like, "I'm putting together this playlist, guys." And I'm thinking, okay, what's this playlist? So I look at it, it's like Love 94. This is what he's listening to. So today I was listening to Sarah Smiles by Hall & Oates.
Oh, no kidding!
Yeah.
Wow.
And I started crying.
That was not bad. I like Hall & Oates, especially the live album.
I do too.
They have a good live album. All right, I've been listening to, and mine is like the one I can't relate to anything right now because I barely know what the band is. I only found it because it was recommended to me by the music program. And the band's called Nothing. The album's called Dancing on the Blacktop. I couldn't tell you any of the names of the songs because I've been just having it on the playlist while I've been working. But it sounds kind of like if you took Nirvana, first album, second album, never mind, and you kind of slow it down and you add a little bit of an echo to it. And that's basically it. I don't know what else to say. I really like it. The cover's kind of weird. Check it out. The band's called Nothing. Okay. After music, it's the time when I say that it's the No One's Listening Show, episode 121. It's Monday, September 3rd, 2018. Our live broadcast is down. For a second, it looked like it was coming back up, but it hasn't worked out yet. It's about 5:45 p.m. We started a little early today on this Labor Day because we had prior commitments. But now we'll talk about what's going on around town. And the first thing that's going on around town is that last Tuesday, Manny, big friend of the show, hashtag fill a bag, was recognized by the village of Key Biscayne for his efforts in promoting trash cleanup, for his actual cleaning up of trash, and for everything that goes along with that. They declared August 28th Beach Ambassador Day, and they said that Manny is a beach ambassador.
That's that doesn't mean I have to go to. I'm not part of the council, am I? I have to go to the meetings
every August 28th. You have to go to the beach. No.
Thank you, thanks, Rafa. Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's obviously it's a big honor. I never thought I'd be an ambassador. But,
But richly deserved, and by the way, that diplomatic passport, you were going to scoot through airports like you never have before.
I already got the license plate for my golf cart.
That Key Biscayne
beach ambassador
passport and skip the lines.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm a beach ambassador.
So, at the same time that Manny gets recognized.
Hey, I think this thing went live again. Are we up again? Is up?
It's like the thing that I'm doing over here. It's not working. It's like halfway, but it won't let me. All right.
Facebook's trying to come back.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But so anyway, at the same time that they gave this award to Manny,
knighthood.
Yeah, exactly. They decided to give it to this other guy too.
No, wait a second. They gave it to 4 people.
Four people?
Yeah, 4 people.
Well, there's only one other guy I want to talk about, and you know who he is.
Well, there was Art Yarian, who's number 1 at the park, and there was Mia Davey as well, who was also recognized. And then there was...
Those are much deserved, but they gave it to this guy, Andrew
Otazo. He's a hero. He's like a local hero.
I wouldn't go that far. This is the guy who is Manny's arch rival.
He's not my arch rival.
He not only does he pick up more trash than Manny.
Hang on a second.
He rubs it in everybody's face. he gets in all the press that he does. It just shows up like even here on the key.
I thought he was somebody who spread trash on the beach. And he was Manny's arch rival. Okay, this is
this guy. He comes to our island. Where Manny's already doing this thing, and then he does even more. He takes all the glory, and the islanders talking to him.
Is he a carpetbagger? He's not from. He's not from here.
Spirited competition.
He's not from the islands.
It's working, man. Do I have him fooled, man? He's picked up 6,000 pounds in a month.
So he lives somewhere where there's no trash.
He lives on the Key.
Oh, he lives on the Key. Okay, well that's fine. I thought he was like, like coming here to pick up his trash, and I'm like, dude, pick up your own trash.
Manny starts this movement, and this guy just comes up from under and takes all the glory. Not only that, wait, I saw the picture of the thing. Manny's there, looking nice, in a shirt, pants, whatever. This guy shows up in a white suit. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? It was a cream-colored linen suit, and he looked great. And he was there with his parents.
Come on, I thought everybody could have dressed a little better for that picture. Honestly,
Billy, I was wearing the Nantucket Reds.
But so I don't understand. So we have, but this is only good, right? I mean, seriously, you're for this. I mean, the fact that we have lots of people motivated to pick up.
I mean,
trash
we're doing the fill-a-bag stations for the sole purpose of allowing people to turn regular beach walks into meaningful cleanups. So everyone should be able to do it, and then to take a selfie after they do it. We want to share it, so that's what we want. We have Andrew fooled big time. He drank the Kool-Aid.
So do you have obligations that go along with your beach ambassador title? Do you have things you have to do for the village?
I presume so.
He has to pay the village $15,000 over the course of
and
by
the way, Rafa, I was after you were picking on me about this. I started trying to quantify how many pounds have I picked up in the last 4 years since I've been doing it. And I think I'm just like at over 6,000 actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, they better write that next time.
Think about that also, because a lot of stuff you're picking up doesn't weigh very much, right? I mean, we know that it's a lot of it's plastic waste.
A couple, maybe 5-10 pounds a day or something like that. Each time you go
weigh
out.
it?
No, I don't weigh it, but I think I should start. But I didn't start 4 years ago, so do I start now?
And so, just as a newcomer, comparatively, how often does the village honor people in this fashion?
Not very often, I would say.
I think these were the first beach ambassadors. I don't know that we.
It was a real surprise and certainly unsolicited, but it was an honor. Thank you to Myra for the mayoral proclamation and for the council, and really touched and appreciated. Thank you.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
We're officially live now, so that's
Are we?
good. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, at least it says we are. It could always drop again.
All right,
but
so let's go back.
It's back.
And talk about Rafa's karaoke.
Nah, they'll hear it on the... I think we got more listeners, actually, on the... now we do, on the podcast feeds anyway. So,
cool.
Yeah. Okay. So... what else happened this week? We had let's not get too deep in this, but I'll just announce it real quick that last week on Tuesday, right after the show, were the elections for the primary elections for governor and for Congress here, and then for all the judges and all that stuff too. Surprisingly, the Democratic primary went to Andrew Gillum, even though the Key voted for Philip Levine, 248 to 173 against Gillum. And then for the Republicans, it was Ron DeSantis, and he won on the Key also, even though he won in Florida too, and he crushed his opponent. And in Congress, the Maria Elvira Salazar won for the Republicans, and Donna Shalala won for the Democrats, and that's how the Key voted too. So that's really what happened. I don't know if you guys have any comment on that, or if you want to talk.
I would just say this was a national story.
They liked making it a national story, yes.
It's certainly in the governor's race, and it fitted into the narrative of very pro-Trump Republicans, Ron DeSantis, who appears frequently on on Fox News defending the president against Adam Putnam.
He has his campaign commercial is him and his daughter building a wall out of blocks.
So that against Andrew Gillum, who's more associated with what I'll call the Bernie Sanders wing of the party, and so the national political drama will play out yet again in Florida.
What do you think about the key voting for Philip Levine?
He's close to home.
I mean, I think that makes sense.
That was easy. He's married. You know, he's married to, right?
Who?
Gato Murciano. She's a Key Biscayner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think he's a known commodity here. I know Andrew Gillum's been here, but it was in the political landscape, it was a spectacular upset victory that maybe nobody expected, and the Key perhaps being is a place that maybe votes a little more toward the middle. On both ends, I don't think it's terribly surprising.
I think with Levine also, just having had the experience of being mayor of Miami Beach, he's really dealt with a lot of issues that are important to the Key, I think, especially with sea level rise and whatnot. He was pretty aggressive on that. But
yeah, that is true.
Andrew Gillum was definitely a surprise at the end. I think a lot of people are very excited about it.
So if you saw the election results on the Miami-Dade election results, which are just like what happens in Miami-Dade, he crushed in the voters who came out on election day. Like, you look at Levine, who got second place, and a lot of his were like absentee and before the thing, and this guy Gillum motivated so many people to vote on election day. Like, they came out in droves, which was surprising to see. Like, when you see the bar graphs, everybody else was kind of like even on how many came before mail-in and election day, and Gillum's was just like election day.
There was a lot of excitement in his campaign at the end. And he got, you associate him with Bernie Sanders. I don't know that he's so far to that side, but I think he got that endorsement, and there was just a lot of momentum that built out of that. He got some other announcements. And then he also was able to pay for ads at the end, which I don't think he had the money to
Plus, the field was diluted. I mean, there were some other very popular candidates.
Well, Gwen Graham was regarded as the front runner.
Well, what was interesting was Putnam
early
lost.
Las Vegas booking.
Putnam was like sort of crowned the next governor of Florida for the last few years. I mean, when anyone would talk about who's going to be governor, you sort of assumed it was going to be Putnam. So there was a change.
Well, we'll see. All right. And then the other thing, I don't know if you heard last week's show, Billy. Did you? No. Remember how we've talked about how Rat Radio or the Islander should endorse somebody?
Yeah, no, I saw the Islander ran an editorial saying they weren't going to endorse somebody, and I don't know. I'm my preferences on this are kind of soft. I realize it's a small island, and I've made fun of the Islander repeatedly on this program. It's mostly what I come in the air to do. But I'm going to take my hat off to them. I think they're doing a better job, and they've had it's been a lot more interesting to read. And particularly, I think their reporters, a reporter put a lot of energy into covering what there is. I just think that the parent company, if I can identify a problem on the basis of more or less total ignorance, which is what I like to do here, I think they need to just invest a little more money in their reporting. But yeah, they've said specifically they want to endorse somebody, and I don't know. Write to the Islander, email them, and tell them whether or not you think that that's what they should or shouldn't be doing. Obviously, the Miami Herald is going to endorse people, and they did in the primary, and it's helpful. It's
historically, I don't think they ever have.
No, they never have.
I think when you're talking about races on the island, that gets a little too much. We all know everyone anyway. And then
but you're thinking again. You're thinking as a person who lives here, and it's kind of like, as a business decision, it probably is not a good business decision. As an act of responsible journalism, it might be.
Yeah, the idea that everybody knows is just no way. Like, we were talking last week about the mayoral candidates and even the council candidates, and the whole election message this year is that they're gonna work well delegating to the manager, like this whole thing that is totally cryptic for anybody who hasn't been following what's going on in the council and how they all got mad. And we brought that up with Brett, and he didn't want to really address it because he didn't want to get in the middle of things. But how they've censured basically Myra and all this stuff because they didn't like certain things. They called her out so many times, and now so their campaign is like, don't worry, I'm going to be a better manager and not do those same things. But they all talk cryptically, and it's only for people who really follow the politics that know exactly. The Islander never got into that when it happened. They never got it. You only would know by the gossip of being actively involved and knowing maybe a councilman or somebody who is a friend of theirs, and they talk to you and they talk to you. So there's a lot of voters who go out there and they have no idea, and the Islander could help.
The Islander could help, but I feel like they may have too much influence over the election if they start endorsing candidates. Because
but what if
they're the only public voice out there for the village?
Well, other than Rat, remember where you are, Julie. But what if they endorse the right people? I mean, obviously, the Miami Herald has an outsized influence. When I vote for county judges, I don't know who they are. Mm-hmm. I have to go somewhere, and I go to a reporter who spent a bunch of time, looking at these different people and evaluating them, or the American Bar Association. Mm-hmm. And the American Bar Association didn't rate our county judge. I think no, county judge is not the most important job. You're voting on misdemeanors and minor civil disputes or deciding it, but still. So that's sort of whether it's an abrogation of a traditional role that papers do, but probably not on Key Biscayne for exactly the reasons we're all talking about, which is that we all know each other and it can get a little ugly. But when we look at this election, to your point, Rafa, there's not a lot of daylight between these candidates, either for mayor or they all sort of, at least according to the Islander, all for the same things.
So I was saying that we wanted to endorse somebody, or that I thought we should endorse somebody. But then last week I said that we should try and guess who Manny's going to vote for because he's got it really tough. He's got it really tough between two of his buddies.
Actually, I'm gonna vote for Andrew Otazo. I'm going to write him in. Proclaim him mayor.
I like it. And you know what I also thought? After listening and going through last week's show, talking to somebody who's on the council, and I feel like even though Brett was a great sport and everything, he had to play it safe, which is fine. But I'm not even sure if I want to get these guys on here. What's the point? They're all gonna play that same thing unless they're gonna do something really stupid.
Well, here's the thing that maybe we could do, and we were talking about this a little bit last night. Is the Uber issue probably is the organizational behavior and dysfunction of the local government.
Right.
And they run out of time at 11 o'clock when they call it to decide the various issues. There's a great deal of pontificating about things that are unanimous. And that are voted on unanimously. There's people kind of going on the record, which of course we all understand is an impulse. That's why we're on Rat Radio. But in terms of effectively running civil government in a small town like ours, it's maybe not a good thing in terms of getting business done. So, will they make certain kinds of campaign pledges that they then can be held to about the better running of the government as a whole? And that's what I'd be curious about, and
so
how would you do that?
How would you pose these questions? What would you exactly ask them?
Well, I mean, the question that you want to ask all these people is how they differ from their opponents.
Okay.
And, and they all probably have an answer to that. It's an interesting answer. It may be an answer of emphasis, but how we're going to run our government. I mean, the other question I would ask everybody is, are you very busy and do you have a day job? Because we have a volunteer government. Our idea of government is that these people are busy and they cannot spend all their time governing us. They have to be effective delegators. They can't be they can't be busybodies who devote a lot of attention to every squeaky wheel issue because it gets them attention or political support on the key. So that's another question. I'd say, there's a limit. The people we can't have all retirees on the council who do nothing but be on the council basically as their full-time occupation. Our idea of government, our theory of government is we have people out there who are engaged in other ways in the world, And it doesn't mean they're not retirees, but it means that they're busy people who circulate in some other environment than the political echo chamber of hearing themselves talk at council meetings.
Yes, go ahead, Julie.
I was going to say, I think, part of what we're dealing with what you addressed, Billy, it's like we have a bit of a culture that's developed around our local government that's gotten our council members involved in some micromanagement, and we have sort of cut staffing, and we have less capacity at the management and staffing level in the village than we probably should, in my opinion. And we have sort of this idea that council members and the mayor are really there to solve a lot of problems that staff should be more involved with.
Well, that's what everybody's campaigning against right now, cryptically. They are saying we're not going to do that, right? That's both what Lucho and Mike are saying. The guys that are running for council, I think a lot of them, except for like the new guy, who Brett said he met him and he was a nice guy or whatever. But I've never.
Sold.
Do you guys know him?
I don't know.
No.
Nice.
I can't even remember his name right now, sadly. It's totally going to be a popularity contest, and I can already call the winners. I feel like, yeah.
I mean, you want to go on record right now for the three winners?
Yeah, but I mean, I think, I'll try and call it right now. It'll be
Ed
London, Luis Loreto, and who is the third one? And Ignacio Segurola, and then the other two guys, Tony Winton. He's kind of known too. He's got the pop.
It's his first time running, though.
Yeah, it's his first time running
again. And the other, the previous. I mean, two of them have already been on the council, and another one ran last year. So.
Exactly. So he's got it. And then the other guy, that sadly I should know his name, but I don't have it written down here, and I don't remember it right now. But he seems to me like the guy who's going to have the least. Like he's too green. He's not going to know how to build up that popularity.
Like 35 votes. We should.
But the thing is about the question about getting better organizational behavior by the town government.
They're going to get it automatically, I think.
Mike and Lucho know all. They should be the great people to explain to us how to do this, because they know more about it than we do. So I think it's totally fair to hold their feet to the fire on that regard and say, okay, well, this all sounds good, we're for it, but what are you going to go on record as pledging to do in the run-up to election that's going to actually accomplish that?
Okay, I'll try and ask them that. Hopefully you're here when they come on. All right, also happened this week, on Tuesday, the council adopts an ordinance banning the distribution of plastic straws. So you can't get plastic straws at your local watering hole anymore, and if I understood correctly, they're not going to sell them at Winn-Dixie either. You're allowed to own plastic straws. You can buy them on Amazon if you really want to. And so in that sense, there's no problem. But you won't be getting them from any establishments anymore. Of course, they will have paper straws and things like that.
7-Eleven?
So I talked about this last week, right? And the council, one of the things they were worried about is that are we going to stop people from... The first reading was like, oh, you're not even allowed to use a plastic straw on the key. They got rid of that language because they were like, that's unenforceable. Like, and if people want to buy a plastic straw on Amazon for some reason, it's not a problem. But then they were worried about like even not letting people buy them on the key. So it was like if you went to the supermarket, you could not buy a plastic straw, right? And they got into it like, man, we shouldn't be denying people the ability to buy a straw and all this stuff. And they got into this thing. And I was just thinking to myself, it's like, well, you're not going to deny people the ability to buy a straw. There's still going to be straws. They're just not going to be plastic, right?
But like when you go to Winn-Dixie and your options are like essentially styrofoam cups.
Yeah.
And it's not just straws. The things that you're using on the beach are what you go and buy at the Winn-Dixie here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And those are the things that Manny then has to go around with his bag and pick up. And if we can change what is in the store at Winn-Dixie for people to buy and bring to the beach, that is what's going to ultimately make a difference in terms of the amount of litter on our beaches.
Right. Though somebody was saying, it was during the council meeting, somebody was saying that it's not like people are going to, even though people will buy those single-use styrofoam containers with the meals in them and stuff like that, they're not going to Winn-Dixie and buying straws to take to the beach, you know?
Well, the straws, it's one small piece of a much bigger issue. And I think, there are home rule issues and whatever else with plastic bags and looking at some of this more broadly. But
I wish they would have banned the styrofoam when they did from distribution also. They never did. They just said that the vendors that are attached to the village can't use them, but, we can still sell them everywhere else. But with the straws, and you just asked about 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven I'm not worried about because 7-Eleven is so big that they have seen this coming from other places. We're not first. And I bet you they already have a solution to their straws for the Slurpees and stuff like that, So like as soon as you get rid of those plastic ones, they have some kind of alternative already set in stone. The ones that you have to, the ones that it's a tiny bit more tricky for, but also their distributors also have alternatives already, is like Novecento or something that gives out a plastic straw with every cup of water. Their distributor also has a paper straw now already, because already in Miami you've seen restaurants who have switched and own stuff like that. It's going to cost them a couple pennies more per straw, but that's
as we talked about before, like first of all, there's always the option of just simply not providing a straw. Straw is a sort of a holdover from the era in which vessels and water were not very hygienic, but also the paper straws that we have gotten lately come wrapped in paper, which doesn't seem to be reducing waste.
They tend to disintegrate a little bit.
Yeah,
too much
and
liquid.
they're not very good. So how about just not giving us a straw? And then the odd thing is that there's an article I think I posted on the Green Initiatives chat, which is about the consolidation in the plastic straw industry, which leads, perhaps not surprisingly, to the fact that the plastic straws in, I think, the entire world, but at least in the United States, are a virtual monopoly owned by the Koch brothers. I'm serious. There's a piece in the Atlantic.
I read that piece.
So, you're sort of fighting an uphill battle maybe on that. But good for the key. I think it's a gesture. Perhaps there's an element of virtue signaling in it. But it I think gives some inspiration and shows a way forward in terms of more robust initiatives that we might take to help kind of clean things up around here.
Well, I think they're in Chicago 11 years ago when I was there. There was a green buying consortium, and I'm sure they still have it, but green purchasing consortium. So a lot of like the major purchasers of products like paper products and plastic utensils instead of plastics, if they're purchasing in bulk together, can really lower the prices. And I think regionally we need to start thinking about how we can, as a region, really be purchasing more sustainable products so that the prices are lower for the region. It's more cost competitive. But we also need to be looking at plastic cups and all these other things there's so many single-use plastics.
Well, I going back to Weekend Talk, the party last night at Pablo's, I was so stoked to see how many people brought their own cup.
Oh, but that's real common here too with the insulated cups, right?
Yeah, it is. But some of them weren't insulated. Some of them, Billy's was like, you have a little tin cup or a little stainless steel, right? Yours is not insulated.
I think, Abed Melwani provided them as party favors at a party, which is another great idea. If you're having a party,
do that.
Instead of buying a bunch of red Solo cups, buy a bunch of metal ones and give them away.
My friend did that, and she also bought a table full of stickers. So you go and you find your sticker that you like, that kind of you're drawn to, and you slap that on your cup, and that becomes your own personal cup.
But
put a Sharpie pen out.
Yeah. Is it that bad to give your guests just the glassware that you use at your house?
It gets cumbersome in terms of dishes.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, the glassware, not at a private house.
It's fine, but it's not a party favor.
Yeah,
no, I'm not saying to give it to them. I'm not saying to give it to them. I'm saying though, don't you guys see the trash can filled with red cups, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, right. This is what I do just to have a drink, I create all this garbage when I could have just used the glasses I have in the fridge. In the cabinets. Plus, they're nicer on the
and I do that when I have a party. I never use reusable cups. I try my best to avoid it, but I do actually. every weekend pretty much harass Gabe at the sandbar about their single-use plastic cups that they use there. And they've transitioned the plates out, and there's a lot of reusable plates. But the problem I have is people, when they do use the reusable cups, people take them home. So then they lose those. I'm trying to talk them into maybe doing a deposit or something else. Charge people extra.
We're a small town, though. I mean, if enough people take this home, there's saturation, and everybody has them at home, and that's still a good thing. I mean, that's something the Ritz could do for.
Well, people are throwing them out too, but I don't. They're spending money on them. It's not part of their formula,
right?
To have those cups go away, and then. I mean, they need to figure out, it takes more staff time.
They could just
those.
make them bulky. They do it at any of the inside places aren't going to give you a plastic cup, but apparently once you go without the AC, it's plastic cup time.
In Tivoli in Copenhagen, I remember being there years ago, and you go up to a vending machine to get a drink, and you pay a deposit, and you get your money back.
Yeah, at the wet lab.
At the wet lab, too. At the wet lab, it's $3 for glass.
Right.
But if not, they'll give you plastic, and you can just throw that away.
Well, I show up with my 32-ounce Yeti. Full.
This is like such a Miami thing, I have to tell you, that like carrying around a mysterious metal container with a beverage in it, and you can't tell if it's like coffee, right? Or if it's like just rum.
It depends on the time of day. I guess.
If it's a beer. I mean, the reality of plastic trash in the oceans, which we're understandably interested here, living in our beach community, is that about almost half of it is discarded fishing gear, and plastic straws are perhaps 0.003% of ocean plastic waste. Doesn't mean we shouldn't do anything about it, because obviously it's a bigger problem maybe here on the Key along with plastic bags and so forth than discarded fishing gear, although that's a problem too. We certainly saw plenty of that when we were in the mangroves a couple months ago doing trash pickup. But the nice thing would be is if these local initiatives were combined with something globally, so that in the analogy was to dolphin-safe tuna. Dolphin-safe tuna did save a lot of dolphins. As soon as that became a thing you could do on tuna, that's what everybody did, and the fishing, the nets were changed so that they were much safer for dolphins. So something that we could do.
Straws are the new dolphin.
No. I'm saying something that we could also do simultaneously to encourage commercial fishermen globally not to discard their fishing gear would make a huge difference.
That's also a big one, and construction gear too. Construction plastic and buckets that break apart and become, the microplastics.
Well, but while we're talking about it, let's talk about the other big ocean issue, which is the sargasso weed.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Can we shift gears into the?
So it's your show, Rob.
The shit show.
It's everybody's show. So once again on Friday, there's a water advisory for North Crandon Beach.
This is what
the third separate than the sargasso.
Yeah, now Julie knows a lot about this, and I love hearing from her.
I want to talk about that because I know that the seaweed can have it too. That's why it all kind of comes together. There's been a lot of seaweed, and there's also been these beach closures, or they're not really closed. You're allowed to go out there.
Advisories.
99% of the time, nothing's going to happen.
The third one in a month?
In a month?
Hasn't it been about that? 6 weeks?
This summer?
It started like 4th of July. We started having some.
Yeah. That was 4th of July was really seaweedy. But so one of the things before the show, when we added this onto the notes, was that there was a leak at the sewage plant, right? So everything I read about that, the last time it was mentioned was it was discovered in 2017. And we didn't have any water advisories.
About the ocean outfall leak, not the plant. Because I think
not the plant, not the plant.
I don't know that anything's coming from there. I don't know that but there was a leak in the ocean outfall pipe going out.
Exactly. So, but that was in 2017, and we didn't have those problems in 2017. We have those problems now, right? So I want to know what you guys think, if you have any insight as to where this is coming from. That isn't, if it's not that some people think it's from the sewage plant. I'm not sure if there's any evidence for that or not.
It could be, but usually if there's a spill there, that's published and they have to notify, a list of people who would let the rest of us know.
Okay.
But I think it could be septic tanks. It could be, some of the transmission lines under the bay. It could be the ocean outfall line.
So we don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is. Someone needs to actually investigate it, and they could do some fingerprinting just of the samples that are coming up with enterococci to see, figure out where that may be coming from. Start looking for where the leaks are. I mean, in a lot of communities right now, just with the water tables getting higher, the drain fields from septic tanks are impacted by that, and that can cause contamination. And the Keys actually transition the entire Florida Keys over to central sewage because septic tanks were causing
but there's
that
still
problem. But I don't know that we
still
have that problem here. We need to look into it.
there are still 90,000 septic tanks in Miami-Dade. I mean, that's a huge number, and as the water table rises, that you can all visualize what happens when you're sitting on this porous oolitic limestone that water can flow through very, very rapidly, and including through your septic tank and out into the ocean.
Yes. So that apparently there were some filings after the waterkeeper took some action. That was pretty quick response from the county after they took that action. I think the county knew about it for a year in terms of that previous leak.
What kind of response? What do they do?
Well, apparently they repaired it, or they made efforts to repair
They found a leak?
What had happened was someone found the leak and reported it to Waterkeeper, and then Waterkeeper went to the county with it and dealt with them on that. And I think they actually had to go to court.
But that was over a year ago, and now we're having these things now. And what you guys are saying about the septic tanks, I mean, that makes some sense. Do you guys...
Well, the septic tanks you could trace because acetaminophen, which used in Tylenol, doesn't degrade. So you can trace
if you have
septic waste by searching for acetaminophen. I believe it is destroyed in the process that they use at the sanitation plant. So you can tell, and I think all these things can be figured out or can be traced that are likely or more probable sources. The problem is, and this maybe goes back to some of the questions we might ask to our candidates, is once you find out, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, that's true.
You can't have a septic tank on Key Biscayne anymore as of when everybody's got to be hooked up to the central sewage as of fairly recently, although I'm sure some people are not. But up in the rest of the county, that's not the case. So are you going to force those 90,000 homeowners to connect to central sewage? Do they have access to central sewage? How do you make them whole for that? These are all very, very unpopular, muscular political decisions involving infrastructure that politicians across the entire country and probably around the world are reluctant to take. They're money decisions. They make people unhappy. But the alternative is what we're already starting to see.
Well, we're already... Miami-Dade County is in the process of spending about $15 billion to upgrade the entire water and sewer system. And they're under federal supervision for about $1.6 billion of that, which includes a lot of the upgrades to the Central District wastewater treatment plant. So that's happening. But if there are new releases, I mean, that's a violation of the Clean Water Act, and the county and the city, the village, could actually sue and for enforcement of the Clean Water Act. They could file a citizen suit, or they could just start the conversation with the county and really push them to address whatever is causing this. But at first, they need to figure out what's causing it, what the source is, and no one's really identified the source, and that's a big problem.
Do you know why the Florida, when I check the webpage that has all the beach reports, they don't have one for our beach in particular? They only have North Crandon and the park, but they don't have ours.
Yes. So Florida Healthy Beaches website, that's from the State Department of Public Health. It's actually paid for by federal funds to the EPA. It used to be that those federal funds paid for about half the testing, and then the state paid for the second half of the testing. State cut their half a couple years ago. Federal money still coming in. Miami-Dade County decided to continue to pay for the every other week. So we have so we're able to continue having weekly testing. But I think the Key Biscayne Beach is on there actually. And Crandon and Bill Baggs, all three of them. We don't have a testing site
like at
on the
beach
Bayside. Club. We need one. You know where we need one is by the Presbyterian Church. There are all these kids are in camp there. I mean, my kids were in camp there all summer, and there were like beach closures, and you don't really know what's going on that side of the island.
Okay, and finally, do you guys think? And you guys are talking about all these man-made. Obviously, this bacteria is from like animal or man intestines. I guess is where it comes.
Yeah, it's fecal bacteria. It's man-made by definition.
Or animal.
Yeah.
Or animal, right?
Yeah. Well, I've heard there's like some people saying it's chickens and dogs, but I don't think so. We don't have a lot of industrial grade farming in Miami-Dade County,
and you don't. And there's only one dog on the beach, and
we know whose dog
he
that
picks
is.
it up.
But wait, and you don't think there's a coincidence between the seaweed all being stale there on the beach and this keeps happening?
I think the seaweed's like an accelerant.
There's bioaccumulation of bacteria in the seaweed. So I mean, with the increased seaweed, I think it can hold the bacteria in it.
Well, but it's also, I mean, I sound like Johnny Internet when I keep saying this. So I posted this thing on an article from New Republic about the enormous sargasso weed bloom across the Caribbean that's happening right now. And, we love the sargasso weed. If you fish, that's where the mahi hang out. These are breeding grounds. You can take a small piece of it when you find it in the ocean and shake it, and fish and little crabs come out. It's great. But, there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and when it washes up inshore, it kills baby turtles, and it creates this giant mess on the beach that's nobody's idea of a healthy-looking beach. And it's not.
It holds a lot of trash, too.
Yeah, and it's not comprehensively understood, I will say that. But, it's part of a larger picture that sees these large algal blooms of red tide in the Gulf, green algae on the Atlantic side, that very much appear to bespeak some kind of real problem in the larger ecosystem.
Well, I think that some scientists have said that it's a combination of nutrient loading and climate change are contributing to the sargassum seaweed being worse, but really I think it's somewhat undefined still. I think there's a lot of...
But when you speak of nutrient loading, remember, when you just explain what you're talking about, these are nitrogen fertilizers that wash out from all over the place. This is a really hard problem to address. But, these are the challenges that, face us in our time.
Yeah, but what are we going to do when all the seaweed goes away in a couple months because it gets a little cooler and it stops growing as hard? And then there's just not as much poop around because it can't hang out in the seaweed anymore. Then nobody's going to care.
Source of the poop.
And then it's going to be November 2nd, and nobody's going to care. You know what I mean?
Well, they should care, and if they want to find out more, they can go to the Biscayne Nature Center on September 20th at 5:30 for a shit show.
Oh, awesome! Moving on beautifully, Julie. Look like an old pro. Okay. So let's talk about calendar items.
No, not a calendar. It ties in very nicely to the sewage issue. So Xavier Cortada with the Nature Center is putting together a panel on this specific issue. So people can learn more about it, and maybe we can put the pressure on to get some action to address this and figure out the source is a first point. If people want to get some attention to this issue, they can also hashtag shitshow with a picture of themselves with toilet paper at the beach.
And wait, and what day did you say this was at the Nature Center?
September 20th at 5:30 p.m.
And did you say there was going to be frittata?
I don't know. Xavier Cortada, the artist.
Oh, gotcha.
What'd you think that was, like a food truck?
Yeah.
Okay, other things going on in the calendar. We're pretty much done with the news.
We have the Haunted Hike is coming up October 19th and 20th, version 2.0.
Well, don't get ahead of yourself. Let's get over here. Hold on a second. We like to go in order, even though she got out of order.
Oh, all right.
Sorry.
Tell me again what date that was, because I wasn't.
September 20th,
Okay.
5:30 p.m.
Do we have
You are out
anything
of
before
order.
October 19th?
We do. On September 14th, Anna's got her opening of the exhibition she's preparing called Emergency Contacts over at on Northwest 7th Ave. We'll tell you about it more. We'll probably post something on the...
Anna, voice of the show, is not here tonight. We miss you, Anna.
On September 15th, there is a coastal cleanup I have written down here, but I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Coastal Cleanup, International Coastal Cleanup Day. 47 locations across South Florida, our coastal locations, are hosting a cleanup, and there's several in Key Biscayne. There's Virginia Key, there's Hobie, there's Crandon, and then there's the Bill Bags. The Bill Bags team, I'm going to be leading a group of paddleboarders into the mangroves, so if anyone wants to do it, let me know. Give a shout. I'll get you aboard. And
Saturday
the 15th, yeah.
And are you going to arm wrestle Andrew on that day? To see who's the real king? Who's King Trash Man? Okay. And then on October 19th and 20th is the Haunted Hike over at Bill Bags.
And this was, I have to say, as a parent, this was an incredible event last year that was like, one of those things that I walked into it knowing not that much about it or what to expect. And all of these people I knew and some I didn't from the Key had gotten together to make this incredible thing, this incredible experience. And it was lovely and scary and heartbreaking and super fun. And we've marked it on our calendars, and we're standing by, Manny.
Team number 8.
Reporting for duty.
Okay, great. So we're recruiting teams that want to be part of it for 2 nights. You basically build a spooky spot. You have a 20-30 yard stretch, which you will haunt and spook and do anything you want to do that's going to scare people.
And
Rafa, we have to talk before you do
That's
yours.
unrolleted to politics.
There were
No,
some
it's
really
clear.
good ones last year. I think you're going to
They
get
were
more
really
spooky
good
spots
ones.
that
They
people
were
are
beautiful
campaigning.
ones. Tom Weber did that thing with the floating ghost.
Tom
That was
incredible.
fantastic.
Rafa, the Calusa Club, has a good one. Biscayne Nature Center will be back. So will the Yacht Club.
Nice.
The rec department has a group.
Those girls who did the creepy Girl Scouts. I mean, it was so imaginative, and it was just
Thank
like
you.
not the kind of thing you would ever have expected to just kind of walk into. Super cool.
Thank you. In fact, I'm going to give Andrew a call to see if he'll take a spot, and he'll just be in there like, there's plenty of trash.
Doing
back
like
there.
a trash, sort of a
clean up after.
trash monster.
We want to encourage people to not bring candy and not dress up in costumes. So.
And not dress up in
What?
costumes?
No, we don't want people in costumes because when you're walking through the haunted hike, you have to know who's the
in it.
actor and who
You have to
isn't.
understand who's in the audience, and that's
Right.
what makes it most
Oh,
effective.
gotcha.
So, Billy, great. You're putting a team together?
We are.
All right, awesome. We'll put you down. And when do you leave, Billy?
I'm going back to. Are people
No,
planning?
I'd
Are
like
you
to-
going
I'd like
to
to-
take me to the airport?
No,
I'm going to go. I'm going to go Wednesday morning, and I'm going to come back on the red eye on Friday night. I'll be
Hang
back
on, let me put
Saturday.
that in my calendar. Billy, no, tomorrow let's take a ride out to the state park, and you can pick your spot. Okay, so
All right, cool.
there's 15 spots. 8 of them are taken, so you want to get in line, get your spot.
Wait, there are 15 spots and 8 are taken.
7 are taken.
Okay, I'm reconsidering.
Why? You think we're running a little light?
No, no, not at all. I just want to make sure we have a good spot.
Yeah, you have a great spot. You have a great spot. You have plenty of spots to choose from.
Right, but so for the audience out there, how do they sign up to be a part of this?
Just call me up. Find me. You can, whatever. Send
Post it on Facebook,
look into your
whatever,
phone book.
Yellow pages.
You can
Shout
find
out
me.
to
Yeah. Just find me. You can find me.
Or you can find that guy Andrew too. He's always wherever Manny's going to be, trying to steal the spotlight.
Andrew's coming on the show next week. All right, are we about
arm
finished?
wrestle there. There is one last thing. Remember how there was that ad in the Islander about medical marijuana that I told you guys, and we called it up and all that stuff?
Yes.
So I was thinking to myself, wow, like a company is actually trying to sell like medical marijuana here on the Key. I thought that was interesting because it just seems like such a small community to seek out the Islander and buy a thing. Well, I looked up the classifieds today. That ad's still there, along with 3 other ads. It turns out the publishing company has been selling ads in the Islander, but like across the United States and in Florida and stuff like that. So that's how they find.
Oh, so it's a package that the owner of the Islander
is selling exactly.
Oh my God, how interesting!
So I was like, why? First of all the numbers in the marijuana ad were like for Gainesville, Orlando, and Jacksonville or something. But I was like, okay, but maybe they.
But you've discussed the town ordinance to ban.
Yeah, but they didn't do it.
Marijuana dispensaries.
What happened with that?
Nothing happened. They just kind of said, well, let's wait, and we probably don't need to do that yet or anything like that. But I thought it was interesting that somebody would even try and target the Key for something like that, right? But then it just turns out that the publisher is selling ads, for like all Florida. Or
it's a package. There are 143 newspapers.
Exactly.
There are a lot of marijuana advertisements in New York and LA. You see these like big trucks with billboards on the side.
Oh, it's coming.
I mean, it's a huge emerging business, and you can debate the pluses and minuses, but there's certainly probably some people on the Key, older people I would think of who need medical marijuana for its established medical purposes, for glaucoma and so forth. So,
for that anxiety you get when you don't smoke, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
Okay, you guys have anything else? Anything you want to mention? Anything you want to shout out? I want to give a shout out to Lenny, who's always a fan, and she's commented like 10 times in the comments. Thanks, Len, for always being there.
And thank you, Billy and Julie, for coming on the show today. I'm sorry that it was cut short because the first 45 minutes were just us here recording it. But
yeah,
that's right. I want to give a shout out to a man in the Winn-Dixie parking lot today who got out of his brown Ford or Lexus, I didn't get the license number, and ran over to me as I was loading my groceries in the back of my car and held an umbrella over my head and said, it's hard to stay dry on a day like today. It was pouring rain, as we all know, the tropical storm Gordon, and it was a big mess. And it was so sweet, and I thought it was such a nice neighborly thing to do.
So neighborly.
And sort of spotted me from across the parking lot and kind of saw what was happening. So here's to you, unknown Good Samaritan, and I'm definitely planning on paying that forward.
Billy, we're gonna actually add a new segment to this show called Mindful Neighbor. More to come on that. Mindful Neighbor.
We'll get one of those like once every 6 months.
You're also going to get a lot of hateful neighbor.
No, we're going to get Mindful Neighbor.
But let's do the balance.
We have Keep Us Gain Bad Parking and this negative, this and that. Mindful Neighbor. We're gonna highlight that stuff, just like fill a bag.
Okay, that's good. We all done?
All done.
Set? No,
Thank you.
Nothing left.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
It's been fun being on.
Thanks,
for
Rafa.
having me.
Thanks to the both of you for coming out. Manny, I'll see you probably next week, and probably between the week too. If everybody could just say goodbye to everybody on 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank
Farewell.
you.